Hello, my leaders. This is Seva Badaki talking to you today about the accountability to the cause. We have been so overwhelmed right now in the messaging from so many of our CEOs, presidents, directors, just everywhere with their anti racist statements. And that's great. We're glad that we're hearing that. But just give me a moment just to rant. And then afterwards, I want to give you some things that you can practically do as a DNI leader, as an HR leader, to hold your company accountable. I promise I'm going to give you some really cool steps, some things that you can do. But I got to rant just for a moment. Did they really not know this was going on? I'm just wondering, did we not realize that we had a systematic racism in our systems? The way we hire, the way we promote, when we say things like, oh my gosh, she's so articulate. I couldn't believe you wrote that. Did anyone else assist you doing that? Or when we ask questions or say statements like, you're so passionate when you talk. I love your passion. Could you perhaps just lower your voice a little bit or not talk like that? Those statements right there tells us that you're a little bit off the mark. So I'm not really sure why we felt that now we need to come out with this whole I'm not anti-racist. And I'm glad that companies are saying it. Don't get me wrong. I'm really glad that people are saying it. But we have been watching you over the years. We've been looking at your policies. We've been talking to you. Your D&I leaders have been talking to you. Why were you not hearing us then? Why did you not hear us when we were talking? And if you have not been talking as a DI leader, what have you been doing? What has been going on in your organization that we've just had blinders? So I am just so thoroughly confused why all of a sudden we have all these statements. Why now companies even have commercials? I've been looking at CNBC and people are coming up as leaders. This is what we're going to do. We have heard it before. We have heard it before when it was the Me Too movement and we talked about sexual harassment, all the things that we were going to do. We have talked about it before. I don't want us to talk about it anymore. I want us to do something about it. Yes, I'm being passionate. So yes, I want us to do something about it. I want us to actually do something about it. And I want you to hold your companies accountable. We've heard their apologies. We've heard their statement. We see their great donations and contributions. We see them setting up ERGs. Great. I want to see inside out kind of changes. I don't want it just to be something that they're doing on the outside. Inside, in the organization, we need to see changes. Inside with your hiring processes, inside with your promotions, inside with your systematic attaboys that only go to certain people. All of those things are contributing to a workforce that is not really working, and I would love to see some changes in that. And so I want to, as HR people, as diversity leaders, because you're my people, you're the people who I understand the most, and so you're the people who I am going to talk to. I want you to look at your organizations and ask, with those statements they made, where's the conflict? Where is there some areas that are not aligning of what they said and what you know to believe, and you know that's true in your organization? Call them out on it. Call them out in a way that they can actually do something about it. Don't just let it be a conversation. And because I know that there's conflicts, you're not, and if there's conflict in your organization, let me tell you, you're not the only one. You're not the only one that's having conflicts. And how do I know that? Did you check out L'Oreal? L'Oreal has made a great statement where we're happy. Hey, I might even have some L'Oreal products myself. But I also know that we know that they fired one of their very first transgender models for speaking out against racism. Maybe something has changed, and really that's what we want. We do want something to change. So I want to accept them with loving arms. Those people have changed. The NFL, have you made a change? Because now all of a sudden it's okay for your employees to take a knee, or you understand why they've been taking a knee after one man has lost his job, basically been blacklisted. And so are you changing NFL, or are you making a statement? If you're working there, hold them accountable. Amazon, we love you. We love our Prime service and all that you're doing. Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Google. Look at your leadership. Does it line up with your statement? Look at your senior leadership team. Where are we? We're not there. So I would love for us to be there. Just a little bit, letting us know that that was not just a statement, that you really are serious about it. That's all I'm saying. That's really all that I'm saying. I want to believe that these are not statements. These are not being politically correct. This is not the flavor of the day, but this is real movement. And so I'm asking you, as our diversity and HR leaders, hold them accountable. If it's a staff member, hold them accountable. So I'm going to give you some areas right now. I'm done ranting. I'm going to give you some areas where you can hold them accountable. Number one, and the very basic one, is when you come in the door. Your organization is a reflection of who you let inside the door. Who did you let in? How did you let them in? Because these kind of things is how you build an anti-racist organization. Look at your hiring practices. Look at what you're doing. And look at some of the things that we say in hiring practices. And I want to say the number one thing we need to strike down, because a lot of you are probably already doing blind resumes. I hope you're doing blind resumes. And if you're not, this is a great time to start doing it. And blind resumes in this case would be some schools that we need to start crossing out, because some schools, some addresses, because these are the kind of things that people will start using against some of your African American or disadvantaged staff or candidates. So, and one of the things I really want you to strike down is cultural fit. Remove that. Remove that category, criteria, wherever you have it. Remove it from the conversation. Why? Because what does that mean? Cultural fit. You say you want a diverse organization. Well, of course that person is not going to fit into your culture. You don't want them to fit into your culture. You're trying to get a diverse culture, which you do not have. So that means you need someone who's a little different, thinks a little different, looks a little different, feels a little different to you, maybe make you feel uncomfortable. That's what it's all about when we talk about having a diverse and inclusive organization. So cultural fit, strike it down. Number two, I want you to look at your performance appraisals. I want you to look at the criteria that you are using to measure people. I wonder if some of your African American employees or your Black employees are actually being assessed and evaluated differently than everyone else. Bring out the old bell curve and check it out and see what you see there. See if you see that there's some disparity there. And then I want you to look at some of those comments, those infamous comments we put down. And I wonder how many of your employees of color, specifically your African American employees, I wonder how many of them have been labeled as being articulate, passionate, confident, or how many of them are getting the face time that they need with their leaders so they can actually move forward? Face time, I'm talking about when they have a performance problem. Are they being written off? Are we immediately putting them on a PIP, a performance improvement plan? Or are we actually coaching them and helping them, working with them so they can actually get their performance to be better? How many of them are in, so I'm going to go to my next one. How many of them are in your session plan, your session planning pool? Right? So you're doing your session planning, your leadership, you have your pool, your ready nows, your ready laters. How many of those people are getting the face time as successors that they need so they can actually land into those positions? And then when you look at the positions that they're ready now and ready later for, are there positions lining them up for the C-suite? Are there positions lining them up for real leadership positions? Or are we just FaceTime? I just want to know. I mean, are we just kind of like checklists? Are we really doing it? So your succession planning is a great place where you can be looking. Look at your leadership programs. How many women, African American women, do you have in those programs, in your women's programs? And where are you coaching them to go where? Look at that. How many of them are mentees? So these are some areas that you can look at. And I am not done. I want you to also look at your corporate social responsibility. Where are you spending your money? Where are you putting your time, your community service? Because this is a great indicator of if that statement, that money you donated, that contribution, is there an alignment? And where are you spending it? Are you building talent pipelines in these communities that need jobs? and into your organization. So don't just go out and do reading programs or technical programs. Build pipelines into your organization to give them great jobs. And I had a great opportunity of doing this when I was working at a Fortune 500 company. We built pipelines for jobs that we knew that we were going to have a shortage of in diverse communities. We went to communities who knew nothing about these opportunities in these careers. Very great jobs. It wasn't going to take them long to be able to ramp up for. This is what I want to see you doing. I want you to definitely look at the money. You got to look at the money. That's my next one. You've got to look at pay equity. Go ahead and do a wage audit in your organization. Go and see how many African American women, what they're making towards their white female counterparts. Forget about their white male counterparts. We already know they're only making 60 cents to the dollar. But how about their white female counterparts? What are Black women making towards that? I want us to look at that. I want us to also look at healthcare, because healthcare is something that definitely affects the African American female who is coming to work. It is affecting her because if she doesn't have good childcare, lots of times she doesn't have the support system that she needs at home to support her for being absent from work. So if she's not getting paid sick leave, if she doesn't have childcare, then she's probably not going to be able to get great performance at work because her mind is thinking about so many other things. What can you do about that in your healthcare program? What can you do in your childcare programs? Do you even have a childcare program? This is something you should be looking at. And then I want you to look at your low skilled workers, your workers who are not necessarily in your professional staff. And that's not necessarily your blue collar workers, but some of your administrative support staff. What pathway or roadmap do you have in your organization for them to leave that organization, to not leave the organization, but to be able to move up in the organization? Are they going to be stuck in this administrative support roles forever? Because that is where the majority of African American women are working. So this is my challenge to you. Please, please hold your company accountable. Do not let them give us lip service again. Ask them, what are they doing? What's their plan? And then you take out your pad, take notes, and watch. And where you're not watching, put your hand to the plow and help them to accomplish these things. Your voice is needed like never before. We cannot sit back and let this become flavor of the month. We cannot let everyone sit around and make these statements and we do not hold them accountable. I know you can do it. If you need my support, reach out to me. I would love to strategize with you. I would love to help you build a framework and discuss this and just brainstorm and see how we can get this done. But we got to get it done. We can't sit back and wait for someone else to do it. It's our job. It's our time. Rise up.